Guys, Mike here. So had a bank holiday, but we did have futures open, and futures went down about 1.2%, depending on which one you're looking at, because obviously there's still this talk about, Iran, and if we're getting involved, all this fun stuff. But if somebody called out to me, one of the members, I'll guarantee it's a taco trade. And I'm gonna talk about that in Saturday's video because somebody asked about it, and I didn't even know where it came from. The reason why, I was on vacation when that whole phrase got coined. And it's simplified, if you don't know what that is, basically where President Trump says something, it drops the market, and he flips very quickly. And then, maybe a few hours later, maybe a day later, and the market hunts back on it. So we saw futures down, quite a bit today. It just opened up as I'm recording it. I wanted to wait for it to open up to see. I was like, I bet you money we gap up. And of course, it went back up, still red for the day, of course. But I think it gapped up like 0.5% at open because he had flipped on Iran, saying instead of deciding the next couple of days, and again, this could change as soon as the video comes out, that he'll make like 2 weeks or something, which I don't know why they picked 2 weeks, but and of course, the market's like, woo, whatever, and they just use the news to move the market around. It's the way it is. So we'll talk about that one and stuff, and we'll definitely go over a few charts, which will be interesting with some, what do you call investment, trades, whatever, getting extremely crowded, and a certain group that is selling out like crazy right now. And then we'll get to some stocks to watch out for breakouts if the market wants to allow it, even when the market's red, these stocks have still been doing pretty dang good, but they're at these levels now to watch out for sure. So let's get into it by starting off with who's selling out, baby. Who's selling out at record levels here? This is corporate executive stock sales reach all-time high. So of course that means insiders selling, big spike right here. As you can see, the SP is going up. But when you look at this, what do you see every time you see a big spike? There's like a small pullback, but then we just absolutely skyrocket after, right? Small pullback, boom, away we go. And so again, they aren't timing this. A lot of this could have to do also with the fact that they're getting issued a boatload of stock, right? And they're way up. Imagine if you were an insider of Palantir or HIMS or any of these stocks that are just rocketing, right? Of course you're going to be selling. I'd be selling like crazy. I wouldn't even care what's going on in the market at all. I'm just selling. So again, you'll see this floating around out there as usual. Most time it means absolutely nothing, as you can see clearly by the S&P 500 chart. Small pullback, which of course we get a lot of, and away we go, right? The other one though is going to be the dollar. The net percentage of fund managers underweight the dollar. You can see where it's at in June 2025. You can see where it's back in January of 2005, right? It's been a while since we've been at this level. And so, of course, eventually there becomes a contrarian trade because everybody's too crowded on one side and then nobody's on the other side of it. And you see, of course, as the dollar goes down, right, what other trade is really crowded to the long side is gold. Oh, and you can look at, like CTAs, for example. Obviously, they're all basically short the dollar and they're long other currencies and stuff. And so we've talked about this chart, and the dollar is coming to a very interesting spot where it's fixing to drop down to another major level, or as you can see, we got this trend line here which goes all the way back to 2011. It has gotten a bounce multiple times. Well, that's where it has bounced right now. It's also at more of a horizontal level of interest right here. And so when you look at that, we'll just kind of put a little box there, because remember, yes, you can put a line here. I like the box because usually support is an area, not exactly a line a lot of different times. Can be, but sometimes not. And so when we pull this right here, we'll put this over here. But down below, if we break this area, and it does break that trend line, which, trend lines are made to be broken, right? Then you can clearly see where support is down below, where it has bounced multiple times. And so we're going to see if this is going to hold, get a bounce. And when I say bounce, I don't mean some crazy bounce or anything like that. I'm not talking about that at all. But again, around between like 89, 91 bucks right there. If it drops some more and breaks that trend line, that's going to be another level to bounce. And again, if it does continue to fall, that's going to be good for those large conglomerate, the most heavyweight of stocks, when they start repatriating that money, the earnings back into American dollars for Apple and all the rest of them. The other thing is going to be gold, right? So if the dollar starts to move up, gold's going to fall because gold is just going crazy right now. It doesn't mean it has to, right? It doesn't mean it has to. It could be short term, whatever, because everybody's calling for gold to continue to go up. And you can see the inverse relationship clearly between the dollar and gold. Dollar rises, gold usually does not. Dollar drops, gold goes crazy. And so pretty clearly there. And that's why you're seeing, gold is just going nuts for a couple of different reasons, but that is one in particular. The other thing to look out for, though, it's just not an inverse relationship on this thing. is stocks. You know, in stocks, you can clearly see just there is no real inverse relationship. Sometimes you see the dollar going up, stocks are going up. Sometimes you see the dollar going down, stocks still go up or whatever, or maybe dollar goes down, stocks go down. And you know, every once in a while, I think when you get like a big surge, maybe in the dollar is this big move, maybe then you might see more of an inverse just after a big move. But you know, just pay attention to the dollar, because eventually these freaking trades or you know whatever get so one-sided that it is a slingshot effect back. But then of course the other argument is, well, the dollar is going to continue to appreciate, or at least be where it's at for a while, just because of different policies being set in place and stuff. So keep an eye on the dollar for sure, the gold trade and everything. Now, when it comes to some stocks here to watch out for, HIMS for sure is sitting there. You can see it. A lot of stocks are just coiling, right? Again, if the market tanks, this is going down the bottom line for sure. There's no doubt about that. Around like 50, 54, we'll see if it holds. But if it breaks out of this, watch for 65, then 67, then 72, okay, on HIMS right here for sure. If it does pull back, I think a lot of people wouldn't love for it to pull back. Again, so it pulled back on Friday and got bought up pretty quickly when it hit 58. But if it does pull back that bottom line of 54, 55, you could absolutely see people start to pull into that one. But until it breaks that trend line, you know, nothing's for certain on that one. IONQ, one of these supercomputer stocks, you can see us in this bullish pennant right here. And if it breaks above this trend line right here, around 42.50, then of course we're heading to 48.33, then 55 on this one right here. Another high flyer, and these are stocks I would never front run in a million years for sure. Oscar, we talked about the other day, if this one gets a pullback, then look right there at that gap, anywhere from like 14.50 to around like 16.50. Really, I think where a lot of people, maybe even 17, would play this from, because it would be a good risk reward. There's also be a trend line, which I'm not going to put in there. It would hit as well. Again, we're going to have to see what the markets are going to do tomorrow, because these are going to be those stocks that they're going to get pulled back like everybody else if the Qs actually do pull back. But you know, again, if it pulls back here, this one was a high flyer, it was a short squeeze. So that's why I'm saying it can continue to go. It can continue to get short squeeze, just like you've seen with MP, right? Even when it hits resistance. But if it does pull back, watch for that area if people get in. Coreweave, I was asked about this one. I think I talked about this in a Saturday video or something. And one thing you got to be very aware about on this one, obviously, you got these levels that are clearly marked out. Any pullback is where you're going to look for support on this thing. And you can see when we switch to a weekly chart on this thing, I mean, my God, the amount of weekly fair value gaps right there is nuts. But the biggest thing people don't seem to realize, they keep trying to short it. Right now, I mean, Coreweave shares available to short, like pretty much non-existent. They've kind of maxed those out, right? And so, and of course, the puts are really expensive. People keep trying to buy puts, wait for the short, wait for the short, and eventually it will fall. I mean, all of them eventually fall. But just be aware of why this thing continues to try to hold up here, because shorts are kind of stuck. And so they keep, every time it gives these big surges, they got to try to cover whatever. And so just watch for those levels. Like 131 is going to be a pretty big one right there. 104. And of course, as fast as it went up, when people, and you know, stocks are getting short squeezed and all those shares are taken and everything, you know, and sometimes maybe it does take a roll or whatever, but people will start profit taking eventually. And then, of course, boom, you know, the waterfall happens. It's happened on every single one of them. You just don't know. And people keep trying to just get in, oh, I'm going to short now, I'm going to short now. And that just keeps helping getting it pushed up, right? And they're paying a boatload for these puts. And so, again, good luck to you if you want to do that. Eventually, one day you might be right. Well, now, let me know if you've been trying to short that one or not, or just ride it up. Congratulations to those who did ride it up, right? Another AI play, as you can see. We do have earnings going on Friday, of course. Kroger, Accenture. I'm looking for Darden Restaurants, really the only one I actually care about, to see what they see on the horizon right here. Are they seeing slow growth? I mean, they own a lot of restaurants. And usually, you know, especially if it's more expensive restaurants, sometimes you get to hear from them and they'll pretty much tell you if they see slowdown or not. So that's what we're going to find out from them. And when it comes to Friday data, Philly Fed Manufacturing Index, CB Leading Index, so nothing much going on at all going into the weekend. Like I said, we like to celebrate certain people going to jail on this channel. I know it sounds weird, but it just rarely happens. And if everyday working Americans can go to jail, so can these folks. So we'll celebrate another politician being put behind bars for what he did, and hopefully they don't let him out until his term is up, which we know won't happen. But here we go.
Earlier today, former Senator Bob Menendez arriving here in Butler Township, coming to FCI Schuylkill here in Schuylkill County, and he's going to begin serving his sentence at this medium security facility here in central Pennsylvania that is also described as having a minimum security prison camp. The former senior senator from New Jersey, who is 71, was convicted of multiple counts of accepting bribes, including gold bars, a luxury car, and cash from New Jersey businessmen. In exchange, Menendez, who once chaired the Senate Foreign Relations Committee, took actions that benefited the businessmen as well as the governments of Qatar and Egypt. He was sentenced to 11 years in prison. A lawyer for Menendez calling that sentence a life and death sentence because of his client's advanced age. Again, Menendez arriving here at FCI Schuylkill earlier today this morning.
And so my salute goes out to the people that convicted him and found him guilty, because he deserves it. You know, and he's been trying to get a pardon for Biden, which failed. He tried to get a pardon from President Trump, which failed. So we'll see who the next sucker is in there, if he can buy them off to get him a pardon, because they're pretty much up for sale and everything. That's how pardons work now, unfortunately. But I always celebrate politicians going to jail because it is rare. Everyday working Americans go to jail all the time. Some guilty, some not guilty. And I always say this: if you're guilty, you deserve to go to jail, right? But these guys just in the open will commit crimes, and somehow they just get their way out of it, right? Because of the money and the power and the stature they have. So I enjoy watching them go to jail because they deserve it. I hate that they go to these cushy jails. I personally would send them like Sing Sing or one of these max security prisons with just nothing but massive amounts of dangerous gangbangers. Just let them get them, be a rough sentence term in there for them. But don't always get your wishes, right? So anyway, guys, go ahead and put your question down at the bottom again. For anything you want me to talk about in Saturday's video, please hit that like and subscribe button on your way out. Appreciate all you guys who watched the video, share the video. Much appreciated. Ain't no time for the membership. Only $7.99 a month. Less than the McDonald's combo, and that's everything you get with it. And I'll see you guys on Saturday.